Okay guys, hey again. Unfortunately, it has just come to my attention that the last 3 minutes of the experiment and the preparatory dialogue I gave beforehand to explain the parameters, in fact haven't been recording due to technical issues on my end. I can only apologise, but although the video was recording, the audio was not, and you didn't receive the audio description. I'll let you know that it was, like I say, it was approximately 3 minutes. I will take note of the exact time it was and the point at which the experiment began, so we can add it onto the overall time. To explain the parameters of the experiment, again, I must apologise for the how bright it is, or rather not bright it is, in my laboratory. I don't understand why that's the case. It appears to me to be bright, but obviously the camera is not picking that up. Okay, so the experiment, I have here a tea towel, a dishcloth if you prefer, with which I aim to be testing the absorption rate of. I have inside placed a ice cube. I will find a demonstrating ice cube for you, seeing as how there is one already inside this and I don't want to disturb it. Just struggling to get hold of it, but here we are. So an ice cube like this, this is a 7-gram ice cube, and what I've done is I've placed the ice cube inside the dishcloth and I'm holding it here like a hammock. And what I'm trying to discover with this experiment is how much of the liquid this tea towel / dishcloth, how much water it can absorb before it passes through the other side. So as I say, I've got the ice cube suspended like a hammock. It's just here. You can maybe see my finger lifting and raising it. Unfortunately, I can't show you too clearly. It's not very clear on the camera. You'll, as with much of this experiment, have to take my word for it. But what I have done, as I'm aware that the water droplets, should they come through, I think a water droplet has indeed just come through. What I was going to say is I've placed a piece of paper underneath where the experiment is taking place. Unfortunately, whilst I was moving to describe this to you, I didn't land on it, but I think we may have just got a droplet through. I'm going to place this carefully above it now. If this is indeed the case, then I'm sure it won't be too long before we get another droplet. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up like this, just so you can see everything that's going on. But I think we could be onto something. I just want to keep a close eye on this to make sure that the droplet didn't run out of either one of the sides of the cloth and did in fact permeate the membrane of the fabric. But we'll find out. I'm looking quite intently now at this water droplet on my desk. There is, without a doubt, a water droplet on my desk. However, there are a couple of others. It may just be from when I was demonstrating with the other ice cube. Perhaps it dripped from my hand in the meantime. But now I'm holding this above the paper that I placed. So if it does drip down, we will see for sure, and I'll be able to have the photographic evidence by showing you that on the paper. Okay, and now it's just a waiting game. It still feels quite dry, the dishcloth. I think maybe the water, I think I may have got overexcited and actually the water drop has come from elsewhere. Just going to glance inside the cloth, see how it's getting on, hopefully without disturbing the cube. It's still there. I must say it's looking in pretty good condition. It's a solid cube. Feeling the cloth around it, I can feel there is some moisture, there is a dampness to the fabric, but it's certainly not sodden. Okay, we're just coming up on the 5-minute mark here. That's on top of the additional 3 minutes we had before the recording has started officially. Again, I can do nothing but apologise. The issue with this experiment is, of course, perhaps that the tea towel may be insulating the ice cube, which is causing it to warm at a slower rate and therefore melt also at a slower rate, which decreases the overall speed and efficiency of the experiment, but fortunately there's not a great deal we can do about that. I suppose I could try and open out the tea towel so it's less surrounded with the fabric. My fear with that is I'll have to hold the cloth very taut so that the ice cube does not slide away, thus rendering the whole experiment null and invalid. But maybe it's worth doing. Of course, this is the first time I've run this experiment, so I am not yet fully sure what the most accurate, scientific and efficient way to run the test is. I will, of course, be running multiple experiments of this kind, so I can take the results, plot them together and find a mean, an average time. It would be, of course, scientifically invalid if I were to just do this once. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do now is try and open up the tea towel / dishcloth to hold it taut and see if that's going to cause the ice cube to melt any faster. So far the ice cube is still looking to be in good shape. In fact, if I raise this high enough, you can maybe even see it. Or you maybe can't. There you go, it's just about visible in the centre of the camera there. Doesn't look like it's significantly lost any size since the experiment began. We've just made it past the 10-minute mark now. I am going to see what I can do to increase the speed with which the ice cube is melting. Of course, this may seem like I am invalidating the accuracy of the test, the experiment, but the experiment isn't to see how fast an ice cube melts. It's just using the ice cube as a quantifiable and measurable standard for the quantity of water that is permeating the tea towel without it all being administered in one fell swoop, one could say. Okay. Okay, I've breathed on the ice cube a few times now, hoping that my hot breath will increase the rate, the melting rate of the cube. Unfortunately, in the process of this, I have become lightheaded, so I fear I may not be able to do this that repeatedly. I am also experiencing muscle fatigue in my shoulders and arms from holding the tea towel in the current position. I am holding it in, which, as I say, is taut. You can see the distance between my arms here, and that I'm having to hold the fabric tight so that the tea towel doesn't lose its structure and the ice cube fall out of its hammock with which it hangs. Okay, I believe I've now started to recover from my previous attempts to warm up the cube, and I am going to continue to make efforts. I believe this is making an impact on the cube's melting rate. It appears to have taken on more of a gloss from the moisture that is forming around the cube. However, as I say, it's not something I can easily keep up, as it quickly becomes difficult to maintain. And I'm fearful I might hyperventilate from the excessive breathing and make myself unwell, which of course isn't what we want. I would be contemplating opening my window and perhaps putting this in direct line of the sun, but the sun has now gone down past the roofs of the houses opposite my window, meaning it's much harder to see. I can now see that the meeting has re-begun for the current discussion, the academic discussion we are having, so I'm going to have to resume holding this with one hand. So therefore the tail is going to go back into its hammock shape, and we will continue the experiment thus. This is also significantly more comfortable for me, as it means I have a free hand with which to do other activities, generally making this experiment more viable. I'll see what's happening though on the other end of discussion, and what my comrades and compatriots are feeling about their respective experiments. We're not currently having any results. It appears I cannot join in visually with the academic conference, as my camera is being used for this purpose. I will have to see what happens. Regardless, I will have to go without audio for the foreseeable until the video continues. If you hear me talking to explain things, that will be why. I have to depart for a moment. I have managed to resume. Apologies for that interruption. I am going to conclude that the absorption of this tea towel is indeed excellent. Thank you everyone for all of your time. No water has so far permeated the membrane, and we're going to consider that to be a victory. Thank you everyone.